right, y'all. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Twisted Life of TV. I am Poetry. You are here for a TV limited series review. Okay, while we're waiting on me to get back on track with Blood and Water, I figured I just do some random reviews of different shows. Some old, maybe something that came out new, whatever. This particular week, this is an old limited TV series. However, it is still showing on Netflix. It is the Colin Kaepernick story, which is Colin Kaepernick story, which is Colin in black and white is the title of it. When it first came out, I was interested in seeing it because I thought that they were going to speak to the politics of football. What we got was historical, what am I looking for? The word I'm looking for. What we got was Colin's version of what happened to him in his high school years, and his high school years only. It stopped there once he graduated and went off to college. It was in 6 parts. I thought it could have been longer because it seemed like the last episode was pretty rushed as far as what they were trying to accomplish or achieve. I did not fully get the message that he was trying to portray. He said a lot at the end. He gave a narrative at the end about what he felt he learned during these 4 years of high school. But what he said he believes he learned, from watching on the show itself, I didn't gather that. I didn't believe he learned any of that stuff. So yeah, I figured I was going to go ahead and check it out. And I don't know why last night I decided to binge watch it. So I watched the whole of 6-part series. I just finished the final episode today. I am on my way to a doctor's appointment. So I figured I would go ahead and give y'all a recap and review of this particular show. So, a couple things. I always start off with what I don't like. I don't know why. I think it's supposed to be the opposite. I'm supposed to start off with the positives. What I did like is Colin Kaepernick narrating the whole series. I would prefer for what he was saying to have been just shown, through the actions of the characters. He interweaved a lot of, a lot of history into his storyline to try to make what was going on in the scene make sense to us. I thought that was cute, but unnecessary. Because again, what he was going through and the actions that he took did not match to me. Let's say, for example, he was talking about this one baseball player who played for the Negro League, and he got signed to a major white league, and in order for him to get to play, he had to pretend that he was a white man. This was a very fair-skinned white man. A very fair-skinned black man that could have passed for white. So, in that instance, he decided to tell them people, "Fuck you! I ain't finna do none of that." Okay, and he continued to play on in the Negro League for a long time, but eventually became a well-known artist that inspired people like Baptiste and things of that nature. I never heard of this man either through sports or through artists, but he's supposed to be very well known. Some of the people that he spoke about, I believe the whole purpose of that was to educate, not only just to educate us on some forgotten black figures. But so basically this man stood his ground, said he was not going to compromise on who he was as a black man to assimilate into the white man's world of sports. In this particular case, baseball. And that is totally opposite of what Colin Kaepernick did. At the end, there was a small change of heart as far as what he wanted to do as far as a career, but it had, to me, nothing to do with trying to assimilate into white culture. So I didn't see the parallels that he was trying to get us to see. So this was produced by Colin Kaepernick and Ava DuVernay. And I've told y'all before, I have not been the biggest fan of Ava DuVernay's work because she makes, for me, it not, I don't want to say easy to swallow. That's a bad way to say this, because she's not trying to make shit easy. She wants you to be uncomfortable. It's like reading a Toni Morrison book to me. Well, it's a book I would call a hard read. It's like layered with heaviness for the most part. I forgot where I was going. So I don't know. But I really have not been much of a fan. But this is one of her, I would say one of her lighter works, I would say. This has been one of her lighter works. Let me backtrack for a minute. If you don't know who Colin Kaepernick is, he was the football player who decided to take a knee and was ousted by the NFL, ridiculed by Trump, and a lot of dudes, pundits, and everything for him taking a knee, saying he was disrespecting the flag, for taking a knee. And when he was taking a knee, he was doing this as he didn't want to stand for the national anthem because of all the police brutality that had continued to happen in this particular time period. It was like back-to-back deaths of police killing unarmed black people without cause. And so the national anthem got tied into this movement of going against police brutality because of the lyrics of the song itself, right? So black people started to not stand for the national anthem because it did not represent us as a country. When you hear people sing national anthem at most of these sporting events, they only sing the first verse, which is the mildest verse, but the anthem itself is not inclusive of black people. To me, demeans us. So it's not a song that we fuck with, pretty like that, okay? Even though it's supposed to be a song that represents the country, it's supposed to be the country's anthem. It's like, how is this the country's anthem when it was in support of slavery, or the person who wrote it was in support of slavery? The lyrics doesn't speak highly of black people, things like that nature. So how is it for the country when it's not including everyone within its context? So this is why people started protesting. I don't stand for the national anthem at all. And even being in the military, when we were supposed to salute every time the national anthem played and things of that nature, I never did it. I was always in rebellion of the national anthem. I would stand there but I wouldn't put my hand over my heart if I didn't have a hat on. I didn't salute if I had a cover on. I didn't do any of that stuff. So when we go to games and sporting events and they say please stand for the national anthem, I don't do it. Okay, so there was some teammates of his that felt like it was disrespecting the flag or disrespecting the country to not stand at all. So he compromised with his teammate and said, well, he will take a knee, which is something that they do when the players are injured. He would take a knee while the national anthem was playing instead of not standing at all, or not, and the teammates that were discussing these things with him, they agreed that would be a more appropriate thing to do, and it became a big hoo-ha thing to do. So when this TV show was presented on Netflix, I thought that they were going to lean more into that subject matter but they didn't. It's a retelling of his upbringing. You know, he was an adopted child. He doesn't know his racial background. I don't know if he took a DNA test, but they believe he's black and white, which is why the show is called Colin in Black and White. I think he's Middle Eastern. He looks like he has very Middle Eastern features to me. That's what I think, but it doesn't matter. He identifies now as a black man, and I think he probably always identified as a. But he knew he was adopted. His adopted parents were white. I think this show wanted to highlight that his parents. As a matter of fact, they even said it at the end. That his parents was always there for him, always loved him, always stood by his side, and I call bullshit on that. His parents were racist. And I think that because they adopted a black child, that they trying to say, well, I adopted a black child, I can't be racist. These motherfuckers were racist as shit. They did not protect their son against the racism that he endured. They actually encouraged some of the racist beliefs. They encouraged a lot of prejudice. They had themselves a lot of racist beliefs and prejudice, and they pushed that on to Colin as well in his upbringing. He said he grew up in a small town in Wisconsin that was like a dairy farm town, and then he moved to California to this place called Turlock that was also like a dairy farm town. There was a small segment of black people that was in this town, but he did have like at least one black friend in the school that they showed. It didn't even show that there was it was racial bias in the school at all, considering how minimal the black presence was supposed to be in this town. The school itself, other than the coaches that he dealt with, he played basketball, he played baseball, he played football. Other than the coaches, they did not seem to have this racist atmosphere that presented itself in the subject matter that he spoke on. So, I forgot what the hell I was going to say. So once he got to Turlock, we start the show off his freshman year in high school. And they focused the very first, motherfucker, we are merging. They started the very first episode off talking about his basketball career. He's supposed to have been this All-American. Usually an All-American type of student are good at every sport. Basketball, football, track. You know, they are a triple threat in some fashion. And so they started off talking about his basketball career, and they really focused on how much he loved Allen Iverson. Now, when Allen Iverson came out again, he wasn't the cookie cutter type player that hit the field. He was a standout person, especially when it came to his image. They called him a thug. They called him the bad boy of the NBA. You know, he did get in some trouble from here and there. You know, he's from the streets. He talked his talk. Do you know how AI was? You know what I'm saying? If you know anything about the basketball, about NBA, you know how AI was. Well, he looked up to him, and everybody and their mama was trying to rock them AI braids. Everybody and their mama. I remember, dudes used to pay me to braid their hair in whatever style AI had it at that particular time. So I remember, the craze about AI. I remember telling people that AI was my baby daddy, and I had my daughter believe for a long time that he was her real father. I swear for goodness. It didn't even matter. But still, okay, so during this particular time, he had to get the braids, right? Now, his black friend, I believe his name was Wayne, he had got braids. And, nobody was shunning Wayne about his braids or made him feel bad about his braids. But, Colin wanted to get him because AI had him. He didn't want to get him because he was feeling closest to his blackness. But AI had him, so he wanted to get him. So, you know how our little sisters do. They do the hair, braid their hair in the kitchen. Like I said, I'd had dudes come to my house to get their hair braided during that time. So he found Lil Diddy, this little chick, to go get his hair braided. And for him, this was his first time going over into the black area of Turlock. The whole hair braiding experience was painful for him. His braids looked good, I thought. But apparently Didi braids too got doggone tight. And we say that a lot of just about getting our hair braided, and he had to pat his head, he had to squeeze this in pain, and she was running out of grease, and her mama had to go to the store in the middle of getting his hair done, and crazy shit like that was happening, right? He was almost trying to get the full experience of what it meant to be black and get your hair done, get your hair braided. These some things that women go through. We go through to the salon to get our hair done, and we in the middle of getting our hair braided, and the girl got to stop for lunch, this, that, and the third. She run out of product, got to run to the store. That's some typical shit that happen at a black salon, or if you go to a black braider, somebody that ain't licensed the most, but can do better than most licensed people. That's particularly what may happen, right? So, but his braids was hurting so bad. So, but when he came home, his mama, she didn't have no words for him. It was just a look of shock and panic on her face. And after, I want to say probably about a day, he couldn't take the tightness of the braids. Wayne was telling him that he'd get used to it, it'd grow out, but he didn't want to hear that. So he decided he didn't want to be AI no more, and he took his braids down. Right? But when he took his braids down, he had a very unruly afro. And at first, he had a tight afro. Very shrunk afro. I'm surprised he didn't have like a really low cut hairdo. They didn't cut all his hair off. I'm surprised he had a fro at all to begin with. But he had a really tight afro. But when he took his braids down, his hair was like kind of straightened, because of course she straightened his hair to braid it. So his hair was all over his head. So his mama was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do something to help my son in this situation, right? So she takes him to go to the braider to get his hair braided, a professional one. And we get to go through the shop. It's a clothing store. It's a black-owned clothing store. Everybody in there dapping each other up, playing music, dancing, strutting, showing off, peacocking, basically, is what they doing. And the barber shop is at the back of the store. So he go back there and he get his hair done, and she hook him on up. She didn't do it too hella tight. Dude, get over. If you're getting over, get the fuck over. She didn't do it too tight or what have you, so he was able to, breathe. I'm surprised it still wasn't too tight, because black braid is braid tight. That's how she, and his mama was feeling the most uncomfortable. First he was feeling like, okay, my mama see me, she understand me, she know that I want to get these braids done. But again, I still didn't associate them with him connecting with his blackness. I figured he was just trying to imitate AI, because he was one of the most popular players that was out there right now. Okay. But yeah, after a few weeks of taking him to go get his hair done, his mom like, when you gonna get over this phase? He was like, what you mean by that? And they pretty much told him that he looked like a thug. That's why they didn't like the hairstyle. People was gonna see him as a thug, and that's how they felt about him. They felt that he was a thug, and he didn't look professional, and he wasn't gonna be able to be successful at his sports. So when he first got his hair done, like I said, his head was hurting and everything, and he wasn't playing his best because he was having headaches and shit. So they attributed to that, since he got his hair braided like a thug, that he lost his sense of morality, and he didn't know what it meant to be professional and stuff and shit like that, right? And his coaches threatened to cut his hair, to kick him off the team if he didn't do something with his hair. And his mama and his daddy was like, yeah, he's right. You look like, you ain't gonna be about nothing in your life. Either you get out, either you cut your hair off, or you take the braids out, cut your hair off, or or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or get off the team, right? His parents wasn't going to fight for him or stand up for him. And so he said it had been 24 years before he decided to wear his hair in braids again. So that's what I'm saying. The historical references that they try to use to show that he was being in touch with who he was as a black person or black man wasn't there for me, because that is not what that man did, that baseball player. He said fuck him and feed him grits. I'd rather not play, but that's not what Colin did. He wanted to play baseball, so he did what his parents and the coaches told him to do. Then he wanted to play football, and he was getting passed over by this little scrawny white kid who was making mistakes. Colin was like outshining him left and right with the arm, with the plays, whatever. And he still got picked over by this white dude because he was wanted to be the face of the team. His parents didn't call out that racism either. They just told Colin he just need to do better. Not that you got to prove yourself that you better, that you just got to be better. Evidently, you ain't up to snuff. That's basically how his parents were saying. And so, his dad did get him to this training camp to try to help his game get it better. And he did improve. But the person at the training camp that helped him see who he was and understand what he was going through and how he was being overlooked was another black player. So, I don't know, everybody that's in the show that kind of made him feel like he was part of himself, that he was black. So like the hairstylist, then the guy at the camp, now his black best friend somehow along the way switched the game. I guess because of being in proximity to white girls, he didn't like black girls. Everything that he did was about white women. His success in every sport that he played was to be able to get the attention of a white girl, because having a white girl on his arm meant success. Now, Colin liked this little black girl that was on the cheerleading squad, and the black friend kept calling her her name was Crystal, kept calling her Crispy Crystal. You know, he'd rather her go out with Heavenly Haley, who was a little white girl. But this is the mentality that this friend kept pushing into him. Now, he had another friend, and name was Jake. Jake was a little white boy. Jake was a little thief. Jake was the thug. Jake was the one that was out here doing bad. And you didn't see it in his physical dress because he knew how to cover it. But Jake was the one that was out here robbing people, jacking them for their rims and shit like that. He was the only person that connected when Colin was having an issue with racism. They would go off to away games, and the hotel staff would treat him like shit. The police would get called on him. They got stopped by the police. The police pulled a gun on him with his parents in the car, and they like, ooh, you dodged a bullet. Shit like that, you know. Because he supposedly was speeding or what have you, and the fact that they learned that was his adopted child, that's what saved him. And his parents was like, your fault, your bad, you know, you almost got shot type situation. That's how they were so lackadaisical and so not understanding but there was not one time that Colin expressed his uncomfortability with the racism. He told his mom once that he was uncomfortable about playing on a team or what have you, but didn't say why. He didn't say what was making him feel uncomfortable. He didn't talk about the comments that he had been had, the treatment he had had, the treatment that they have been giving him, the treatment that they have supported from other people giving to him. He didn't talk about none of that. The only person he mentioned it to, other than the random black people that he met throughout his high school career, was his white friend Jake. And Jake was be like, like when it was at the hotel, and the white boys were in there getting rowdy, acting buck, Jake being the main one. Colin was sitting down there just watching them. The hotel staff came in and reprimanded them and chastised him and told him she was going to call the police on him. And then questioned whether or not he was supposed to be at that hotel, even though she knew he checked in with his parents. And Jake was like, if I was black, I'd turn this motherfucking place up. You know, Jake was the only one that seemed to have some type of understanding. So then it came time for him to, where am I at? Okay, I know where I'm at now. But all this was happening throughout his entire career. Different situations of racism, of prejudice, of running into Karens. I mean, his parents acted like Karens. With his parents not trying to inflect any type of culture in him. Like I say, his mom got cool with the braiders and wanted to go over there and get his hair braid all the time. His mom was like, "We're gonna hang this shit up," and then it got hung the fuck up because she was tired of doing it anyway. She was tired of being around all these uncomfortable black people. Matter of fact, she would actually leave. She would just drop them off after a while, and she didn't want to sit around because it made her feel uncomfortable. Anytime something racist happened towards him, even if they was at the baseball game, the basketball game, the football game, and the crowd throwing out racial slurs, they wouldn't say anything. But Colin, you need to step your shit up. Pretty much. You need to stop being who you are and assimilate into the world that you in. And that was his parents' encouragement. And Jake was like, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Don't let these motherfuckers shit on who you are, who you want to be. That's how Jake was, the white boy. That's the one encouraging person out of the whole film to me. Because like I say, his boy Wayne, the black guy, kept telling him how wrong it was that he was even interested in the black girl and that type of shit. So at the end, he wanted to be in baseball. I mean, well, he was very good, like I said, baseball. And he was getting scholarships left and right for baseball. And he decided that he wanted to play football instead. I don't know why. Because he wasn't getting love on the football field. He went to that camp and he went that one black dude that was giving him some encouragement, but that was it. But he decided to choose football over basketball and football over baseball. And everybody's telling him, this is your golden ticket. You could be in the major leagues. This is you know what I'm saying? He decided to choose football over that, and everybody got mad at him, of course, because he wasn't getting any offers for football. Because he wanted to be a quarterback. And in the football, in the NFL, there was very few, if any, black quarterbacks. So that wasn't something that they saw for him in his future where he could be successful. But that ain't what he told them. He didn't tell them he was encouraged to be one of the first black quarterbacks or one of, the top rated black quarterbacks to be. He didn't tell anybody that his dream of why he chose football over baseball. He was throwing away something that they felt was guaranteed because the scholarships were pouring in for the baseball, right? He didn't tell his parents that a lot of the stuff that he experienced in his baseball career in high school and the summer leagues was so racist that it made him feel uncomfortable, unwanted, unneeded, uninvited. He didn't tell them this was one reason why he wanted to stop playing baseball. But they did not address at all that this is the same shit happens in football. I mean, the coaches were discouraging him. The doctors were discouraging him. Everybody was discouraging him, but simply because they thought he had a golden ticket in baseball. Not necessarily because he was a black man. I mean, he got overlooked and overshadowed of a lot of things in baseball, football, and basketball. Because he was black, and like I said, nobody stood up for him or protected him or gave him any words of encouragement to say, you deserve this, and you being fucked over because you black, with the exception of Jake. It was the only person. So in the end, though, he ended up, that was a dip. Here's another one coming. They're working on the highway. In the end, he ended up, he played through his sickness. He had pneumonia, and he was playing so hard trying to prove to everybody that he should be the quarterback through the whole football season. He still didn't get the offers that he wanted to get and everything like that. But he played a game of basketball one day, and he was sick as shit. Apparently, he got sick all the fucking time. He was sick as shit, had pneumonia, out here on the court, had been throwing up, and still managed to play a good game. Okay, with the University of Nevada, a basketball coach was there scouting the team, and they liked him. Okay, and since he wanted to play football as well, the University of Nevada decided he would be a good person for them, because that way they can have him on two teams, the football team and on the basketball team. Especially because the seasons don't overlap. So he ended up getting accepted for University of Nevada. His parents packed him up, sent him on his merry little way. He ride down the highway, and that's how the show ended, with him finally getting free of Turlock. And then we get the little narration. We had narration throughout this whole thing, but we had the narration by Colin Kaepernick telling us what he learned. He learned how to love himself. Where? When? There was nothing that showed that you learned how to love yourself. Because you fell in love with a black girl who rejected you, and I believe she rejected you because he was biracial. I fell asleep on that part. I'm gonna let you know that right now. That was one of the ones that came on around 1 a.m. and I remember watching half of that episode. But yeah, her parents was like, and she ended up going to homecoming with a black guy. So it wasn't a race thing. It wasn't like her parents wanted her to be with white people too. So I want to slow down your motherfucking roll, cuz. So yeah, Colin went on to explain everything that he learned about himself and how he learned how to love being black. And I was like, there was nothing that you did or nothing that you showed to us in this whole 6-part miniseries that showed you were learning to love yourself. You didn't even really truly understand the racism that was happening to you until Jake was spelling it out. It took Jake to spell it out. Like the hair salon girl, she didn't spell it out. The guy at the football camp, like, even though he could tell you that he could relate to what was going on and what you were feeling, he didn't really spell it out to you. When it came to all the racist remarks and comments that was happening throughout the baseball games, it was Jake that was pointing them out and pointing out the fact that this shit was happening to you because you was black. Your parents never did that for you. Not one time. They didn't protect you not one time in regards to racism, in regards to prejudice. They embodied it themselves and encouraged it themselves. So I don't understand what you learned. If there was a lesson to be learned, then did it happen during your college years that we didn't get to see? I thought maybe he was going to end up at a HBCU or something. And that's when he was able to dive into and connect with his blackness. Because that's truly where a lot of black kids really find freedom in being black, is when they go to college and they join, especially if they go to an HBCU. But if they join any type of college and they connect with the black students associations and things like that, that's when they find themselves. And then they come back home and their parents think they're radical and shit like that. But not once. And I probably would say that this TV show was probably when you expressed to your parents how fucking racist they was. But they probably was still oblivious to it. They probably still didn't think that that's what was going on. I don't know. But anywho, child, I'm at the doctor. I gotta go in here. This is for my cardiologist exam, to figure out an update on my heart and to find out if I could take this spin class. But like I say, Colin in Black and White, it is still on Netflix. It's an interesting watch. Like I said, it's a 6-part series. The episode's probably about 30-35 minutes long. I would give it a C. One of the things that I did enjoy was that the people the characters were acting. Sometimes you see new faces, you could tell that they're new. These actors all seem pretty seasoned. They play their roles very well. I couldn't stand seeing Colin Kaepernick, I swear. Not only did we like Colin Kaepernick narrated it, he was in it. He was a walking, talking narration. He was a fucking tour guide of his own life. And he was like, let's know if you go through a museum and then you got the person explaining to you what each little picture or each little room means and what you're going to learn in that room. That's how Colin Kaepernick was in this whole series. With the afro and the all black on. There was one point where he said that I thought it was a missed opportunity when they was talking about his hair and the cornrows and the Crown Act. When he said that it would be another 24 years before I ever wear my hair braided again, and then they showed at the end of the episode where he was sitting down and the girl was finna part his hair, the same chick who braided his hair to braid the character's hair. She came to braid his hair in the end, and I thought we was gonna see his hair cornrow for the rest of the doggone show, but that ain't what happened. He still had his big shaft afro and long black trench is what he was still giving us. Where's my ID? I don't know. I guess I gotta use my drive. Is that it? Yeah, it's my ID. All right, let me get off here, child. I'm at the hospital. Going here to my appointment. I just want to give y'all a little recap and review of something, keep the channel popping for a minute here. I'll talk to y'all in another video. Peace.